Thank you so much for your warm words of welcome. And now I'm going to talk to you while at the same time trying to find my presentation here. No, I think I'm going to have it ready very quickly. Here we go. Now I need to find the... Yes, here we go. I would like to also acknowledge a number of member companies. Here I've heard Samsung, Philips, and GE this morning, and probably other company representatives that I may not have heard of. You are already a member of the Personal Connected Health Alliance, even if you do not yet know this. And I hope that many other people and companies represented in this room here may soon decide to join the PCH Alliance. I would be very happy to talk to you about this in the course of today. Rajendra has kindly invited me to come and speak to you today, and we've talked about some of the themes that we should discuss. I want to talk to you a little bit about who we are, the PCH Alliance, the field of personal connected health, as we call this. I want to make the case for standards, and then I want to close with a couple of thoughts on how and why you should engage. This is me, just so that you can of course have these slides afterwards, so that you know how to get in touch with me. About the PCH Alliance, Personal Connected Health Alliance, we're a relatively new organization. We're founded, however, by a number of organizations that have long-standing names in this field. I'm talking particularly about the Continua Health Alliance that just turned 10 years last year, HIMSS, which many of you may have heard of, the Healthcare Management Information Systems Society, and of course a series of events that have been named mHealth Summits, but which are going to be rechristened. I'm going to talk to you about this later. We're a non-profit organization, the PCH Alliance. We are part of HIMSS, and we work very closely with them. And our mission is to help people make health and wellness an effortless part of daily life. Our chief executive is Hannah Michelle. She's been in this position for less than a year. She would have loved to be here with you today, but she had a conflict and asked me to come. And of course, the PCH Alliance continues to be the maker of the Continua guidelines for interoperability. So if you know of Continua, but you hadn't heard of a Personal Connected Health Alliance, the PCH Alliance is now the organization that makes the Continua guidelines. So think of PCH Alliance and Continua as very much the same thing. I'm going to talk about this slide here, which I think is one of the most important, maybe the most important slides of Continua of PCH Alliance. This is only the first time that I'm going to show this to you, but this is how we work. These are how we define the field. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. And why are we thinking that standards are important? Well, we are a standard, the Continua Guidelines is a standard that is in search of adoption, but where it is embraced, it can actually save lives. You all have heard of the Japanese tsunami that 6 years ago struck the mainland with a double whammy of an earthquake and a tsunami, and really sent a giant flood wave into Japan, caused a nuclear reactor to melt, and of course made large parts of northern Japan uninhabitable. The Japanese government at that time decided to make Continua certified solutions part of a rapid reaction force to monitor and triage the care for patients that were at risk of cardiac events. The name of this was the Disaster Cardiovascular Prevention Network, DCAP. 5 years later, this work remains operational. So what they do is they equip people with devices, blood pressure cuffs mostly, and because everything was standardized, it was very rapid to be set up. So already at that time, we knew that that using standards really saved enormous amounts of time to integrate these devices. So they equipped the patients with blood pressure cuffs, monitored the device regularly, and whenever there were fears of deterioration, they could intervene rapidly. A 2016 study, 5 years after this, also showed that this blood pressure monitoring yielded tangible healthcare benefits, in addition to, of course, the better use case, the time saved for setting up the network. So 400 high-risk evacuees were still alive at that time, and among the 341 survivors who monitored their blood pressure over the 4-year period, of course, healthcare outcomes were markedly improved, and the people were still alive and in relatively good health. The economic benefits, of course, were that the launch time was reduced by 84%, and it saved $140,000 or so in terms of integration costs had there been used non-certified devices. And this was a relatively small-scale introduction. To our knowledge, it's been the only time where a government actually set out and said, we really want Continua. But imagine what would happen if a government came up and said, we really want Continua to cover universally our entire population. And let's keep that in mind as we talk about the benefits of standardization. As I said earlier, we are a standard in search of adoption. Our model of how we thought we would be adopted was very much informed by thinking, well, it's probably the consumers that embrace us, but we've really, over time, it has evolved and said, and we believe today that it's really the governments that need to take a strong leadership here in terms of mandating us, encouraging the market to move towards us. And the most important parts where this is really happening in the world is Europe, and that's why perhaps it is fitting that Patty asked me to come to speak to you today. So in 2012, Denmark, for the first time, the government of Denmark said, we really want to build our telemedicine, our telehealth infrastructures on Continua. Norway has followed in 2014. The European Union, meantime, conducted a series of assessments of standards, and they've really made references and included references to Continua in the European eHealth interoperability framework. However, it's all moving very slowly because, of course, standards is always there's an inherent tension between standardization and innovation. You don't want to put standards, you don't want to mandate standards too early because you want to encourage innovation. But at a certain time and level of maturity, standards really become important because they enable an ecosystem. They enable people to work together. And I would like to argue that the time for an embrace of Continua really has come at about this time here, 2016, 2017. And so this is a unique opportunity here for India to jump on the bandwagon. In 2016, actually, it was the United States government last December that, through the Office of the National Coordinator, referenced Continua for the first time in the 2017 Interoperability Standards Advisory. So we very much now work with governments, policy, regulatory and market adoption activities that we have in some of the key markets. And of course, we work very closely, advise them, and of course, we invite members, government ministries, or their dedicated organizations that they work with to join us to bring information and to bring demand-side views into the Continua Health Alliance as well. I'm going to talk a little bit later about how we work collaboratively to make those collaborations work. So, a few words about personal connected health. There's a huge, of course, we all are familiar with the connected devices, the personal devices that are now becoming part of our lives. Many of us may have fitness trackers in our pockets or on our wrist. This is a world where many people among us who are not necessarily ill or who are not necessarily patients carry now devices that measure and take certain biometric data from us, and we share them for ourselves, we share them with some of our loved ones if we care, we share them with social networks, and that is very much a fact of our life today. There's at the same time a huge confusion about what we should name this animal. The mobile industry is calling us M-Health. Some people call it personal health. There is a whole field of wearable technologies that is kind of a corollary to personal connected health. Obviously, the physicians among us know about telehealth and telemonitoring. Some people call it digital health, what used to be called perhaps e-health or health IT. Then there's, of course, the whole field of health and wellness. There's the phenomenon of quantified self. The industry of things is coming into this, of course, with a remit or a purview much larger than healthcare. We, as Continua, we think of it as connected devices, personal health devices, that are on the left-hand side here, that connect to the healthcare system through a series of steps and communications that I'm going to be talking about this later. But what is really new about this field here is that it is no longer just a healthcare IT field. I've been talking to a colleague about the field of IHE and DICOM and other standards in the healthcare IT field. This is now the convergence of a personal health field, a consumer field, and the medical device field, or the medical health IT field, where devices like Fitbits, devices like blood pressure cuffs are now available for sale, not only in pharmacies, although that wasn't the case a few years ago. You can now walk into a consumer electronics shop, into Best Buy, or MediaMarkt, or Fnac in where I live, and you can buy watches, you can buy other devices, fitness trackers, heart rate monitors, or so that don't necessarily have necessarily a health field or health function, but that are consumer devices that enable you to get data about yourself. And it is this phenomenon of the convergence between the consumer electronics field and the medical device field that has, of course, led to the foundation of the Continua Health Alliance in the first place, because this was, for the first time, an animal where we needed to bring the two worlds of health IT standards and personal consumer electronic standards together. Today, this was just from a few weeks ago in Time magazine, we have a phenomenon that perfectly healthy people now measure their glucose levels. Why do they do so? Because they want to keep track of themselves, and they want to find out what does it do to my blood glucose level if I eat certain things. And the technology is out there to help us find that out. When Continua was founded in 2006, this was one of our earliest slides. We segmented the field of personal connected health into three different pieces: the independent living piece, the wellness piece, and the chronic conditions management. When you look at these things today, only the terms have changed, but the notions, the descriptions, the way the building blocks of personal connected health are still very much alive. We want to help people live well and age well. We want to enable people to measure their data. And of course, the last piece, the healthcare field, is we want to enable healthcare clinicians, healthcare professionals to remotely monitor people with chronic conditions. We want to enable truly personalized health. This is a very recent slide from the Personal Connected Health Alliance, where we're kind of taking these pieces apart and define what the field could really look like. And there's a whole work stream in our organization right now to actually come up with a good definition of personal connected health. But in short of that, and while we're still working on that, just as a suggestion, there's the broader field of health, then there is e-health, there's wellness and self-monitoring out there, and the personal connected health is really where this embodies telehealth, this embodies the quantified health, And in this field here of overlapping trends, the personal connected health field is where we have devices that we use for ourselves, that we use to share with our loved ones. Okay, and I'm being told that I need to speed up, which is just as fine. So making it personal, here's an example of a 12-year-old who has type 1 diabetes. It used to be that diabetes management was just with a set of where you were told to measure your blood glucose level once or twice a day, and then afterwards, and after 3 months, you take this piece of information to your doctor. Now, of course, you can do this much faster with a lot of devices that are at your fingertips. And today, of course, this leads to information, knowledge, empowerment, self-management, co-production, efficiency, all of those good things that enable us to take more control of our own health. And of course, this enables truly personalized healthcare management. From a wider perspective, connected health really enables a triple win. It enables citizens to lead healthy lives, it improves the sustainability and efficiency of our healthcare systems, and it of course creates new market opportunities. The case for standards, why do we want interoperability? We want to make sure as buyers of devices, of buyers of technology, that there's a level playing field. We want to create opportunities for SMEs, and we want to create opportunities abroad, not just at home. So this is why we Continua have created these guidelines for interoperability. We are an industry-led coalition. Our guidelines are built in 4 key principles, and we update them every year. The next ones are coming out in the next 3 months. We take existing standards and make them fit for purpose. We use existing data transports like Bluetooth and wireless, and we package the data in such a way that they can seamlessly flow into a healthcare system, particularly with IHE compliant healthcare systems. And I understand that IHE is a term that I do not have to explain here in this room. We certify our products. We provide a consumer recognizable logo, and over 100 devices are actually certified. We are recognized by the ITU as a standard, and our guidelines are available for free. Any party is welcome to join us, and I'm very happy to talk to you more about the way we work together with and our membership models. Our founder members, here's a list that I don't want to get into in detail, but GE, Samsung, and Philips are still very much, and we're going strong. What's the problem? Of course, we are, as I said before, we are a standard in search of adoption. We face in many of our countries, in our markets, the phenomenon that we have an interest in devices, in interoperability, but too few devices are available. And so I said I'm going to speed this up here. We think that there's a strong market potential. There is many companies, many markets are investing in telehealth. There's a real market opportunity. Now would be a very good time to get on board. We invite you to maybe join some of our conferences, including HIMSS 2018 and the Connected Health Conference later. And with that, I invite your questions and want to close. I'll be with you for the rest of the day. Thank you very much for your attention.